So I'm so excited to introduce this next guest. If you are in the world of fitness, dentistry, wellness, you probably know his name. You won't forget it anyways. Let's welcome Uche Odiatu. Thank you so much for joining us today, Uche.
Hey, always a pleasure sharing. So I can't wait to chat. This is such an important topic.
It is, and I'm glad that we're actually at a point in history where there are a lot of people at home and that will be able to participate, and the fact that we have hours to reinforce this message, I really hope will make a great impact, because you and I both see how desperate the need is for folks to understand the role of breathing and airway in their everyday life. Why don't you share with folks from your perspective, how does it impact, first of all, your own life, and then also the people that you serve?
Yeah, well, let me talk about myself first, only because I know I was being a personal trainer now and certified through the NSCA for the last 17 years. And I've gone to some really high-end personal training conferences. And there was one, Paul Chek is his name, and he's a exercise scientist out of San Diego. And I remember and I've never heard this before. I'd been a dentist already for 15 years. And he put up on the screen, he said, the number one human need, what do you think it is? People said food. Some people said love. Some people said water. Some people said sleep. No one said oxygen. Not one person. And at the top of his poll, this is actually a room full of 300 personal trainers. So at the end of the slide, he said, our bodies are a slave to our breath. We are a slave to our breath. And he showed how if people have inadequate or inefficient or dysfunctional breathing patterns, how it shows up in their posture, head position, standing position, how people actually, and I never knew this, I never heard this before actually. He said, anytime you have inefficient postural breathing, small muscles get sore because they're trying to push oxygen to your brain, the organ that wants it the most. I never heard this before. And I was like writing down notes like crazy, like here am I, a dentist, I'm into the mouth, never heard it before. This was all thinking like, this is incredible. Like, why aren't you looking at airway more? Why aren't you asking more questions? People say I don't snore, people with kids in the bed. I have trainers as patients. So this is all exciting stuff. And I see the value. I see the value.
That is fantastic. And I'm telling you, when that aha moment happens and the light bulb goes off, there's this feeling in the pit of your stomach. So even when you were saying to me that he said we're slaves to our breath, and that everything in your body, every little muscle is trying to kind of force oxygen to your brain, that's game changing. How can you go back to your practice and just do what you've always done, or go
Mhm.
back to your life without being more aware of it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So when you bring this topic up with your patients, so your patients come to you, they come into a dental office. When you bring it up to them, what is the reaction that you get?
Well, most people think of us as tooth mechanics, right? Do a crown, pull a tooth, get my teeth cleaned, my wedding's coming up, make my teeth nice and white. When you start talking about function or breath or the human microbiome or the mouth being a gateway or 600 species of bacteria in the mouth, and most people think of bacteria as being bad, I said most of them are good for us. Only a couple ones that aren't very good. But when they're in balance, they're good for you. They look at you like, where am I? And then they realize they've never had this discussion before. And guess what? Most people like it. Most people want a healthcare provider that sees them from head to toe. That my new patient exam is an hour. And we talk about everything from sleep to stress to food. Um, Charting the teeth and putting the fillings in the computer is the last thing I do. Airway, sleep, how much activity to do comes first. And ultimately, they're a slave to their breath. So anyways, this is where I am. This is where I'm coming from. So I'm really thrilled that you invited me.